So it is currently Friday, October 21st. We are 2 days away from our next matchup against the Washington Commanders. And I'm hoping this week we finally get back on track because these past 2 weeks, it has not been fun as a Packers fan to sit there and watch those games. And I'm hoping everything gets turned around this next week. That is at least my hope. As you can tell, I'm in my same apartment, but my computer's been malfunctioning lately. It's like 7 years old. It's starting to die on me. So I'm really having trouble editing. So I'm just filming this on my phone. And honestly, I like the natural lighting. Never done this before, but it looks nice. And I'm also about to head out to Oklahoma, so I'll be watching the game there this Sunday at my grandma's house, so I should be making a video after that game as well. But I wanted to discuss a few different things and then also read a few of your comments because I asked for some questions yesterday, and I'll address some of those comments. But right now, the Packers are currently in a 2-game losing streak. First in London to the Giants, then of course the Jets at Lambeau Field, and that has led lots of us to be a little worried at the moment about where this Packers team is going, because lots of us entering the season believe this still could be one of the better teams in the NFL. And I'm at the point right now where I'm not saying all hope is lost. I think that in the NFL, things can turn around pretty quickly. We look around the NFL, the Buccaneers have been struggling. The Rams are 3-3 as well. The 49ers, I think, are 3-3. They just traded for Christian McCaffrey, so that obviously helps them. But personally, I think it's a little bit of a risky trade to give up 3 or 4 draft picks for a guy who's missed tons of games. But anyways, if he's healthy, good move for them. But the point is, teams can struggle for a small period of time and things can turn around. And hopefully, I honestly think this game against Washington should be the game to turn things around for the Packers. And honestly, I think it will be. Hopefully we don't, after Sunday's game, we're not sitting there at 3-4 losing to the Washington Commanders, because that would clearly show that the troubles are continuing. But I really feel like this is a game the Packers can come in and get back to business, hopefully. The biggest question is this offensive line. Last week they struggled a lot, and this week we're facing off against the Washington Commanders defensive line that has been one of the best in the NFL. I believe they're 3rd in sacks and 6th in pressure rate, or the other way around. So they're basically top 10 in some big pass rushing areas. So the question is, what are the Packers going to do on this offensive line? Will they keep Elgton Jenkins at right tackle where he struggled? Part of me feels like they will move him back to left guard. We'll have to wait and see, though. Matt LaFleur was he didn't want to share what he's planning to do, which makes sense. You don't want to give away your plan to the opposition who's probably watching some of his press conferences. But I feel like they're going to make some kind of switch because Royce Newman has been struggling at right guard a ton. And we even saw the Packers and Matt LaFleur try to come in there and correct that on Sunday, putting Jake Hansen in for Royce Newman at right guard. But he goes down 3 plays later with a bicep injury. And now hasn't been practicing for the past few days. So we'll see what the Packers do. They could try Yosh Nijman at right tackle. I just think they should try something else because last week it wasn't working. And this week we were facing off against a pretty talented Washington Commanders defensive line. So it's going to be a tough test, but hopefully the Packers can get back on track, feed Aaron Jones, hopefully create some running lanes, and let's hope this Packers offense can get back on track. On the other side of the ball, we have Carson Wentz has been injured, and honestly, I almost would have preferred Carson Wentz to Taylor Heinicke, who will be playing against us this next week on Sunday, because the Commanders' offense has struggled a ton this year. I think they're 29th or 30th when it comes to scoring defense, one of the worst in the NFL. So it would have been nice to keep Carson Wentz out there. But Heinicke, I feel like is going to bring some kind of life to this team because I feel like if you look at him in the past, he has some games where he plays pretty bad, but then he has those certain games where he comes in and throws for like 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. So he's clearly going to be hyped up to come in here and hopefully provide a spark for the Washington Commanders, because if he comes in and plays really well, maybe they give him the starting job back. Who knows? It really depends. So clearly he has a lot to play for, and we can't take him lightly, which leads us to this Packers defense, who last week, for majority of the game, I think 8 series, we were lights out. And then in the fourth quarter, a few drives lead to a touchdown, a Breece Hall touchdown and a Berrios run. So 2 runs, the Packers rushing D really fell apart in the fourth quarter. And that's been one, I guess, area of problem for the Packers defense, has been not playing a complete game. Obviously, it would help if the Packers offense was putting up points so the Packers wouldn't have to be in some tough situations defensively, but so far that hasn't really been the case majority of the season. So let's just hope the Packers defense can come in here and shut them down. They have some very talented weapons on offense. Terry McLaurin, I'm curious to see if Jair will follow him, sort of like he did Garrett Wilson last week. We did see Joe Barry last week sort of switch up the plan from previously, because typically he's played a lot of zone coverage, sitting off with the corners like Jair, but this past week They seem to play a lot more physical, a lot more aggressive, which I think led to them, at least in the secondary, playing a lot better. We only held Zach Wilson to like 110 yards. So it clearly worked, and I expect that to happen once again. We'll see if they can stop the run as well. The Commanders haven't been that great in the run. They're like the 25th rushing offense in the NFL with Antonio Gibson and McKissick, I believe his name is. So hopefully the Packers can, keep things in control on defense and, play a complete game. So personally, I feel like we are going to win this game. Let's hope we win this game. If we don't, it's going to be, it's going to be sad because as Packers fans, we haven't witnessed back-to-back losses in the regular season in 3 years besides these past 2 weeks. So let's hope we don't keep this up because it's much more exciting when the Packers are winning. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. So now I have a few different questions I will answer because you guys left some questions. I asked you to drop your questions below. There are 62 questions here. I will definitely not get to all of them. Or not 62, sorry. That's 62 likes. 21 comments. So 21 questions. I'll get to a few of them to finish off this video. So first off, from Dalton Peterson, he says, since we're talking a lot about the O-line, we definitely need to. I wanted to ask about the defense. Where do you see the defense at right now? And what do you think they can do to improve? So this Packers defense this past week looked a lot better besides the final 2 series. I already discussed this a little bit in this video. But the question is, can they play a complete game without breaking down? Because things will go really well for a majority of the game, and then near the end, things sort of fall apart a little bit. So the question is, at the end of the game, when they need a big stop, can they make it? I feel like they can. I think this Packers defense is very, very talented, and I think we still have one of the best secondaries in the league with Jair, Eric Stokes. We just need all these guys to play well and to be more consistent overall, I think, for this Packers defense. But I still, honestly, I'm not too worried. The big thing is, honestly, if this Packers offense can get things going more quickly, it'll just put the defense in a much better situation overall. If the Packers are up early, clearly the opposing offense then will have to focus more on the pass, which, if the Packers are sort of know what they're going to do, clearly they're going to probably play better overall. So a lot of it will help if the offense can start putting up some points, but I'm not too worried about this Packers defense. Let's hope they can finish these games off. Then here we have from Aaron Sauls. Do you think we have a chance to make it to the Super Bowl this year? We had this happen to us in 2010 where we were 3-3 and then we wound up winning the Super Bowl that year. Seems a little far-fetched to me, but something to think about. Yeah, that is a very interesting question, and I have thought about this a little bit. When you look at the Packers back in the last time we won the Super Bowl, we were one of the wild card teams. And if we look at the past few years when the Packers have been one of the best seeds in the NFL, we've struggled. So there is something to, having that underdog mentality. Clearly, it's nice when you're the #1 seed and you can just, have a bye and then be at home and, sort of be in that situation. But when you have more to play for and people don't expect quite as much, I think you do have that underdog mentality, which clearly helps. Right now, the Packers at 3-3. I wouldn't say that. I still think they're the Packers. I think the people in the past 2 weeks have definitely shifted their belief in what the Packers were just from the past 2 games. But I think there's no reason they can't turn it around. And it's going to be tough, I think, a little bit tough for this offense just because of all the injuries at receiver. I honestly hope the Packers make a move at receiver for a potentially big name guy like a DJ Moore would make lots of sense if they actually would do that. The Panthers don't seem to want to trade DJ Moore, even though they just traded McCaffrey and the other receiver, what's his name, Robbie Anderson, I believe it was. So I honestly think this can be a Super Bowl team. It's going to be tough, though, for the time being, unless we can turn things around. If these next 2 weeks we come in here, play well against Washington, in a few weeks we have the Bills, we have the Eagles. If we can compete in those games, then I think that'll give us more of a belief in a confidence of them and their chances in the playoffs. But let's say when we play the Bills and if we play the Eagles, if we get destroyed in both of those games, that'll make me a little bit worried. If we can stay close in those games, win those games, clearly that shows that this Packers team can handle it. So we'll see what happens, but I still have hope. I still believe, and I think they can definitely turn it around at honestly any moment. Let's see here, a couple more to finish it off. And let's see. Quick says, should the Packers reach for a receiver? Current ones seem to not be cutting it. Yes, as I just said, I do believe, I would like the Packers to make a move at receiver just because why not have one more talented guy here who Rodgers can rely on. I think that would make lots of sense for the Packers, especially with the injuries. I don't know if it's going to happen. We have, 10 days now until a trade deadline, so who knows if that will actually happen. That's a good question, though. And let me find one more question to end this off with. There are a lot of questions about trades, which makes sense considering The trade deadline coming up. Packers need game win more. I agree. Tropical. Okay, a final one. Okay. Someone says, why do we suck? Watching this team has been painful. Past couple weeks have been a little bit painful. Let's hope the O-line can hold up against the Washington Commanders defense. Let's just hope everything gets turned around this next game, and so that way we can have some more confidence going to the rest of the season. And as I said, if we lose this game, that'll be unfortunate, very unfortunate. So let's just hope that doesn't happen. But I honestly think the Packers are going to turn around this game. I got a feeling. I think it's going to happen. They have to be motivated and ready. I mean, I believe they are. After losing back-to-back games, they want to come in and get things back on track. So that is all I have for today. Thank you for watching. As always, feel free to subscribe if you want to see more Packers content, and I'll see you guys next time.